Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. And coming up, an NFC Championship game preview as the Eagles will host the Commanders for the right to represent the NFC in Super Bowl 59. Philadelphia playing in their second NFC Championship game in 3 years and their 8th since 2001. Before we dive into the best preview that you'll find for this game on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily and year-round videos on the Eagles, but also join us for our Commanders-Eagles watch party. Rams-Eagles watch party did over 300,000 views. Eagles-Packers from the wild card round, well over 200,000 views. Let's beat both of those numbers. We will be live, myself and producer Chip, beginning with a 90-minute pregame show, and our coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. out there on the West Coast. And we accomplished our goal during our pregame show of that Rams game in the divisional round of hitting 100,000 subscribers on the channel. This is a goal that I set out to hit once training camp got underway, and we've done that and more. So let's add some more real ones to the Eagles Now movement and hit that sub button right now. Let's get to 102,000 subscribers before this game even kicks off. The stage is set for the NFC Championship game here in the 2024-2025 NFL season. The Eagles, 5.5-point favorites at home against this Commanders team that has been the surprise team in the National Football League this season. The total over-under, 47.5. Game taking place Sunday, January 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific at Lincoln Financial Field. And the site at the Link in South Philly going to be a lot different this Sunday as compared to last Sunday with blizzard-like conditions. The weather shaping up to be pretty solid for football standards, and that's how you want it to be in a game like this, although watching the Eagles win in the snow against the Rams was a lot of fun. Speaking of that, as to how the Eagles got to this point, Final Four in the NFL, Conference Championship Sunday, cannot wait for it. The Birds finished the regular season 14-3, second time in 3 years they've won 14 games. Birds got the number 2 seed, won the division inside the NFC East. The NFC East is totally back, by the way. Eagles, Commanders, Giants have a good draft pick. You know, the Cowboys always usually competitive. The Birds in the wild card round, taking down the Green Bay Packers 22-10. Defense played their A game. Offense played their D game. Eagles still won by 12. It goes to show you how talented and complete this Eagles team is. That was in the wild card round. On Sunday in the divisional round, Philadelphia holding on to beat the Rams 28-22. Rams made that game very interesting at the end of it. Some weird play calls from Kellen Moore, giving the Rams an opportunity to march down the field. It's kind of a weird back and forth game, and it was certainly a roller coaster all throughout the afternoon. The theme for the Eagles in the playoffs so far in these two games, their defense has played championship level defense. And that's why they're the number 1 defense in the NFL. And Philadelphia is up in the turnover battle 5-0. You're going to win a lot of playoff games when that is the case. And they have been led by the MVP candidate in Saquon Barkley, who in 2 playoff games has 325 yards and 2 touchdowns, more than 200 of those coming against the Rams. He even said it himself. I came to Philadelphia for moments like this. The Commanders, at the start of the year, nobody thought that they would be playing for the right to make it to the Super Bowl. I said prior to the year, I think that they could be a playoff team. They could be feisty for the Eagles inside the NFC East, but they have exceeded all expectations. And it really has been a magical ride as football is back in the nation's capital. 12-5, got the number 6 seed in the NFC, went on the road, beat a really quality Buccaneers team 23-20 in the wild card round, and then they stunned the world. I thought the Commanders were going to cover. I picked Detroit to win, but the Commanders won the turnover battle 5-0 against the number 1 seeded Detroit Lions, and that's a big reason they won that game, and the reason why the Commanders are here, the play of Jayden Daniels. I was thinking about this as I woke up on Monday morning. Is this the best rookie quarterback we have ever seen? It's certainly up there. What he's done has been tremendous. This game in the NFC Championship is really a tale of 2 different teams. Philadelphia is the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL with the leading rusher in the league with Saquon Barkley, who has been Superman this year. They've also been paced by the #1 defense. And it's not really a surprise to a lot of people that the Eagles are playing on the precipice of making it to another Super Bowl because of all the talent on this roster and how Howie Roseman has constructed this team. The Commanders, on the other hand, have wildly overexceeded expectations, and the talent gap between Philadelphia and Washington is pretty steep. The talent gap between the Commanders and the Lions, a big gap there, even with Detroit suffering from all of those injuries, but that goes into why this has been one of the most improbable conference championship runs that we've seen from an organization. Also factor in the Commanders had not won a playoff game before beating the Buccaneers since 2005. As for the weather forecast that I mentioned a little bit earlier, snow-covered link by the end of that game, almost blizzard-like conditions. The broadcast didn't do it justice. If you saw some of the fan videos, the snow was raining down at Lincoln Financial Field. And the start of the game, it was so funny when you go back and watch the highlights. Grass is green, it's all clean, and then by the end of the game, it is snow-covered, and you can barely see any of the yardage markers. On Sunday, though, early weather forecast, high of 43 degrees, low of 29, with this game kicking off at 3 p.m. Philadelphia time, probably going to be somewhere in the 30s, cloudy, but not really any precipitation expected. Hopefully it stays that way because I want to see these two teams on an even playing surface. When I do some thinking about this game, this Eagles defense has been superb. They have been dominant, fantastic. Vic Fangio coaching his ass off. The coaching job that he's done to take this Eagles defense from where they were last year to where they are now, it's been really entertaining to watch. And if you're a football nerd, the X's and O's, the adjustments, the scheme, maximizing players, this is what good coaches do. So the defense has been great the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. The Eagles' offense, on the other hand, you can't say that. They have not played their best football. But I think the Eagles are due for a clean, flawless, breakout, dominant offensive performance with the level of talent they have at the offensive line, with Saquon Barkley, with the receiver talent that's on this team, with Dallas Goedert at tight end. And I think that Jalen Hurts is due and will have a big game against this subpar Commanders defense. And so that's what I'm expecting to happen in this game. When the pressure is on, Jalen Hurts has played really good football in the biggest of games. Think back to what he did in the Super Bowl. And the biggest thing right now, he's not turning the ball over. The Eagles are a running team, and they're a defensive-oriented team. All Hurts has to do, kind of manage the game a little bit, make some throws, use his legs from time to time. Don't lose the game. Don't turn it over. That's why I give Hurts credit for what he's been able to do. As for the Commanders, at what point will the Commanders' magical season run out of magic and fumes? There is a clear talent deficiency, and the Commanders have a rookie quarterback. And oftentimes, you will see teams go on a Cinderella run like this, and it's really fun to watch them upset teams like the Buccaneers, like the Detroit Lions. But usually those teams aren't playing for a championship, aren't playing for a Super Bowl. It would just be so weird for this Commanders team to make it all the way to the big game. These two teams obviously have met twice this season because they are divisional opponents. Let's take a look back at what happened in Week 11 and then later in the year, only a few weeks ago in Week 16. The first matchup between these two teams, Eagles won 26-18. Commanders scored a garbage time touchdown to make that score look a little bit closer than it actually was, but the Commanders were feisty. They muddied up the game. They made it grimy. They made things hard for this Eagles offense. Philadelphia only scored 6 points through 3 quarters. But as they've done all year, they wear teams down throughout the duration of the game. They play bully ball. They play physical. And in the fourth quarter, oftentimes they explode. And Philadelphia exploded for 20 fourth quarter points in that Week 11 tilt at the link. Saquon Barkley in that fourth quarter had 2 touchdown runs of 10 seconds. He's had the clutch explosive runs all year. And really what turned that game was a 4th down stop when Jane Daniels kind of muffed the snap. And it was kind of a broken play, tried to get to the outside. Eagles stopped him. They go right down the field. They score. Momentum on their favor. That was pretty much ball game. Daniels was not playing well then like he is now. He was struggling in that game, and over the couple week span at that time, because he was dealing with the bad rib injury, he's 100% healthy right now, and he's playing stellar football. A look back at Week 16. We all remember this. One of the wildest games of the 2024 NFL season. Commanders won 36-33. Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion in the first quarter. Second drive of the game, he helped to get Philadelphia out to a 14-0 lead. The Eagles had two 14-0 advantages in that game. They blew both of them. And it was one of those wild, wacky games where the Eagles were up 2 touchdowns on multiple occasions. They won the turnover battle 5-1, yet the Commanders still won in the final seconds. Little bit of a fluky game, which is why I think the Eagles are 5.5-point favorites and why I think the Eagles are going to win this game on Sunday. If Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt in Week 16, I think the Eagles roll. And it took them a long while to come off that concussion. Took a big hit. But I'll tell you what, Jaden Daniels was incredible that day, and he had Vic Fangio's number. How does that carry over? And that win really got Washington rolling. It got Washington believing. They used the Hail Mary early in the year to go on a tear, and then Daniels got hurt. They struggled a little bit, and then they beat Philadelphia in a thrilling game in the final seconds, and since then they haven't looked back, and they have played really good football. Also remember, going into this game, you have an Eagles legend in Zach Ertz and the Eagles head coach in Nick Sirianni, who had that beef after the Commanders won. It was emotional for all parties involved, but Zach Ertz is going to want to get back at the Eagles to silence that Lincoln Financial Field crowd, which is going to be raucous for this NFC East rivalry game. With that, only getting started with our preview here. Who you got? WAS for the Commanders, PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles. Get those predictions in right now. Our sponsor for today's Philadelphia Eagles now, our friends at Fume. 2025 is well underway, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time to kick your bad habits, and Fume is here to help you do that. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, Chase, thank you for promoting this product because it's helped my loved ones a lot. And I can see why. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not your lungs. It's a great way to satisfy your oral fixation with non-toxic flavors free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. It's a design that is also more than just flavor. It's an awesome fidget tool with magnets and clicks that can help calm anxiety. You'll love how Fume feels, premium quality, sleek design, and perfect for taking with you on the go. My favorite flavor, crisp mint. It's refreshing and satisfying without any of the harmful effects you'd associate with your habits. We all could have used a Fume watching that Eagles-Rams game on Sunday. I'm very particular about my health and the things that I take into my body. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people build better habits, so try Fume today. And if you order the Journey Pack now using the code ChatSports, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/chatsports or scan the QR code, which we've been showing you on the screen. That's tryfume.com/chatsports to get your free Fume topper when you order your Journey Pack today. We move forward with our Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship game preview. I am so pumped up for this ball game. And let's reset a little bit because I want to give you my keys to the game. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out for our Eagles-Commanders preview. Coming up over the next several minutes, what the Eagles have to do to beat the Commanders and advance to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Key to the game number one. It is time for this Eagles offense to help out this Eagles defense, and it's time for Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts' unit to play up to their standard. So far in the playoffs, I'd give this Eagles offense about a C grade. The passing game has been Jekyll and Hyde, a little bit lackluster. The explosive plays have really helped Philadelphia out, thanks to Saquon Barkley. But you have the best offensive line in football. You have one of the top wide receiver duos in the National Football League with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You have a sweet tight end in Dallas Goedert. Saquon Barkley has been Superman all year. We know what Jalen Hurts is capable of, and now it's time for this Eagles offense to put all of the pieces together. The passing game has to improve because the Eagles are also so hard to stop when they are multiple. When you can't load the box, the Eagles will find success hat on hat running the ball. Even if the numbers game is not in their favor and you do load the box against this Eagles rushing attack, their offensive line can win. They will scheme things up with pull blocks to open up running lanes for Saquon Barkley, but with his vision and his patience, his explosiveness, ability to make guys miss, and the home run speed, he can turn garbage into gold. But if you have the run game working and the pass game working, we have seen it this year. This Eagles offense is breathtaking. We just haven't seen it in a little while, and it's unfortunate because we saw the signs of life of what this Eagles pass game can be when people question the Eagles passing game after the Panthers game. Then what happened? Jalen Hurts was carving up what was one of the best defenses at that time in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this Eagles offense is not broken out yet in the playoffs. They are due. I think it happens. I think it has to happen. And you might need to pop off offensively to keep up with this Commanders offense, which is one of the more high-octane units in the National Football League. Key to the game number 2. What the Eagles didn't do in Week 16, have disciplined pass rush lanes against Jayden Daniels. If you just try to pin your ears back and rush after the quarterback like he's Matthew Stafford, you will get burned. Because Daniels is quick, twitchy, long strider, has good speed, can make guys miss. When he turns the corner, he has the speed to do that, and he's really dynamic, using his legs to extend plays to throw it, to turn would-be sacks into long runs, and the ability to come through with some really back-breaking plays. Jayden Daniels broke contain way too often in Week 16. Eagles didn't set the edge on some read options, RPOs, and zone reads. And then when they rushed the quarterback, there wasn't a spy, but they didn't have disciplined pass rush lanes. And so the pocket broke down, then Daniels was able to run right up the gut, nearly untouched. And he really did carve up the Eagles, especially on third downs. And what went a long way in Week 16, resulting in the Eagles losing that game and the Commanders winning it, Eagles couldn't put Washington away. They also couldn't sustain drives. Philadelphia went 3 of 16 on third downs. The Commanders, more than 50% on third down, 7 of 13. A lot of that, the improvisational plays from Daniels. And the mobility of him, so difficult to defend. Teams have found that out this year on design runs, on RPOs, and on broken plays. What also stands out so much about what Daniels has been able to do this year is he the best rookie quarterback ever? What he's done from an efficiency standpoint, setting the record for completion percentage for a rookie quarterback, the touchdown-interception ratio, running with his legs, rushing for nearly 900 yards. He has had arguably the best rookie year statistically of any rookie quarterback that we've seen, and with winning games. 12-5 win-loss record, and he's 1 win away from an improbable run, which would result in a Super Bowl appearance for Washington. His stats in 2024, and also what stands out to me about Daniels, how cool, calm, and collected he is, how confident and composed he is, and he's a flat liner. And so I don't really expect him to be fazed by this atmosphere, which is going to be crazy at the link on Sunday. Completed 69% of his passes, 25 touchdowns through the air, 9 picks, threw for nearly 3,600 yards, and then he carried it 148 times for 891 yards in the regular season. This is a future MVP candidate that we're talking about here, and he's going to be the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Key to the game number 3, this Eagles defense, called by Vic Fangio, against this Washington offense, called by Cliff Kingsbury on the money downs. I call money downs 3rd and 4th down. And this Commanders team has been elite on the money downs. They have a 3rd down conversion rate of 45.5%. That is 6th in the NFL. And the Commanders are here, and they've won games, and they're called the Cardiac Commanders because Dan Quinn has been uber aggressive this season. And why has he been aggressive? He trusts his rookie quarterback. And Dan Quinn, if a situation presents itself where he can go for it on 4th down, we saw this against the Lions where they went for it on 4th down in the red zone multiple times. Oftentimes, they've been able to convert. How about this? It's not even close to the number 2 team a fourth down conversion rate with volume of 81.1%. By far and away, number one in the NFL. This Eagles defense on money downs. On third down, they've been good getting off the field. 36.6%, ninth. But on fourth downs, they have not fared well. 61.7% conversion rate, that is 22nd. Eagles could win or lose this game, getting stops on third and fourth down. Key to the game number 4, the Eagles have to win the turnover battle. It sounds so simple to say, but the illustration I'm about to show you is very telling. And the Eagles being up in the turnover battle, 5-0 through 2 playoff games, has really helped to decide these games. Them being top 10 in turnover plus minus this year, a big reason why they won 14 games. But let's circle this back to Jalen Hurts, right? So many critics of him, so many detractors of his play, but why he does deserve credit. Jalen Hurts is playing clean football, smart football. The Eagles are a rushing team. They're leaning on the ground game, and they're leaning on their number one defense. If Hurts is asked to throw a lot, I do believe that he can have success through the air. But all year, they haven't really thrown it a lot, so it's been hard for him to find a groove. That's why he's a little bit unsure of himself in going through some of his progressions. But what was killing the Eagles when they got off to that slow start going into the Week 5 bye week? It was him turning the football over multiple times per game on numerous occasions. Since then, he has not been as reckless with the football. That has coincided with him not being as aggressive, but what would you rather have? Turnover-free football or taking some shots from time to time? I want to see aggression. I want to see creativity on the offensive side of the football. I also don't want to see Hurts with a great rushing attack and the best defense in the NFL spoil an opportunity to win a game because he makes a dumb decision or turns it over. And how about this? You want an illustration for why turnovers matter in the playoffs? Look at these matchups here during divisional round weekend. Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, Rams, Eagles, Ravens, Bills. Look who picked up the most total yards in those games. Texans, Lions, Rams, Ravens. They're all golfing now. They're setting up vacations in Mexico. Look at the winner of those games despite losing the total yards picked up battle. Chiefs, Commanders, Eagles, Bills. All playing in championship weekend, trying to make it to the Super Bowl. Win the turnover battle. It matters. Key to the game number 5. Punters are people too. Kickers are people too. I do have to give a shout out now that I say that to Braden Mann. Braden Mann has been so good this year. And he's been great for the Eagles the last 2 years since he took over for Aaron Sipos, the Aussie, who was awful in Super Bowl 57. And his bad punts and bad punt coverage helped the Chiefs win that game as Kadarius Toney carved them up. Braden Mann has been really good. Jake Elliott has been really good and elite prior to this year. Jake Elliott has to get it together. This could be a close game decided by an extra point, extra points, or field goals. Now, I want to give Jake Elliott credit. You know, he helped this team win a Super Bowl in 2017, Super Bowl 52. He's hit some massively clutch kicks in his career against the Rams. He was 3 of 3 with shades of Adam Vinatieri with the snow coming down in Foxborough in the early 2000s. But he missed those 2 extra points, which gave the Rams an opportunity to beat the Eagles. If the Eagles would have lost that game, it would have gone down as one of the worst losses in the history of this franchise. And Jake Elliott going into this game, Jake Elliott all year has been a massive question mark. Earlier this year when these two teams met, Elliott missed 2 field goals against the Commanders at home. It made that game so much closer than it should have been. And so this game is going to be decided on the margins between 2 really good teams who are playing good football right now. And right now for the Eagles, you don't really trust the kicker. Second lowest field goal made percentage of his career at 77.8%. 2020 was his worst. Field goals made, field goals attempted, 28 of 36 in the regular season. 50 plus, this used to be a specialty. 1 of 7 on kicks of 50-plus yards. PATs in the regular season, 47 of 48. A little bit shaky against Green Bay, shaky against the Rams. in kicking those point after attempts. Before we dip on out of here, a look at how the Commanders fare compared to how the Eagles fare. This Commanders offense, they are really good. Terry McLaurin, elite wide receiver. Diami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Zach Ertz having one of the best years in his career in a long time. He's been the right-hand man for Jane Daniels, and Daniels will look for him on third down, fourth down, and in the red zone, so be on the lookout for that. And not having Nakobe Dean go up against Zach Ertz, yeah, that hurts Philadelphia. This Commanders team, number 4 in points per game offensively, number 5 in yards per game, 6th on third downs, 1st on fourth downs, as we noted, and then 6th in the red zone, converting red zone trips to touchdowns. Defensively, though, this is how the Eagles can win this game. Play your A game offensively. 18th in points per game are the Commanders, 16th yards per game, 15th third down percentage, 29th on fourth downs, 21st in the red zone. We flip the page to the Eagles, 7th in points per game, 9th in yards per game, 10th on third downs, number 3 on fourth down conversion rate, so up there with the Commanders, 21st in the red zone, and then this Vic Fangio-led defense, number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards per game, number 1 in yards per play, 9th on third downs. Have to be better on fourth down going up against this Commanders team. They were awesome in short yardage against the Rams. Give them credit for that. And number 5 in the red zone. So I leave you with this. NFC title game day. Predict the score. Commanders, Eagles. I am going with the Eagles to win 33-25. I think this offense puts together a 4-quarter, clean, dominant performance. And the Eagles cover. They win by 8. And they punch their ticket to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans for the second time in 3 years. Go Birds. Before we dip on out of here, another shout out for our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Fume. We're going to put all this information down below in the comment section and in the description of today's video. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring today's show. Scan the QR code, use the code ChatSports to get your free Fume topper when you order the Journey Pack today.